course, Stoke City are the visitors this weekend as they come to Ewood Park looking for a win. But of course, standing in the way is the mighty Blue and White Halves. That's right. Who's going to come out on top? We've got a Stoke fan on the other line, and we're going to talk to him next. That's right, folks. Bam's giving another Rovers Rivals video. Today, we're going to chat with a Stoke City fan. Elliott Yates from the Bear Pit TV is standing by to answer a few questions. I'm going to throw at him in a second, of course. And before that, big shout, of course, to the VIPs. They are the patrons, of course. And make sure you give a big old thumbs up. Smash your subscribe for your one-stop shop for Rovers, Championship, and World Cup content later this year. That's right, boys and girls. But, of course, let's get cracking and chat with our visitor, our guest today, our humble visitor. It is Elliott Yates from Bear Pit TV. So, Elliott, why on earth do you support Stoke City?
Oh God, I ask myself that every day. But yeah, to keep it short, just my dad. My dad's from Stoke. Been a Stoke fan all his life. Been going since the late '60s. So yeah, just to keep it short, it's my dad. Dad's passed on the sort of the family curse, really. So yeah, I think it's like everyone. It's just the dad. You don't choose your team. You just support your dad's team, and it's same with me.
All right, then let's get the elephant. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. Of course, let's talk about, of course, Mike O'Neill's departure. Of course, yesterday he was given his marching orders. Are you happy? Are you sad? What's your overall feel to the news of O'Neill's departure?
Quite sad, actually, how it's all happened, because we just wanted him to do really well, because he said the right things. You could tell he sort of really cared and had a vision for the club, but it's just not worked out in the way that we wanted it to. In his first year, he did an amazing job in keeping us up. An amazing job, because of the amount of dead wood we had in the squad, the amount of confidence that was lacking in the team, and he did a fantastic job keeping us up bottom of the league at Christmas. And I don't think any other Championship side was able to stay up from that point, and he's the only one that's done it. So that in itself is a huge achievement. Unfortunately for them, we've had a bit of like financial fair play problems, so he's not been able to get his players in, and that's why in sort of press conference, he said, well, look, I'm not be able to get my players in, so how can I play my own system? Which I think is fair enough. So that's the reason he was sort of blamed finishes on finishing 14th in some years. But I think now he's got his team together. He's got Liam Delap, he's got Jacob Brown, he's got Josh Tyman, he's got Lewis Baker, Joe Burst. He's building a sort of good team together that is his team. So if he can't get a tune out of his team, then he probably can't take Stoke any further. And I think that was the decision made today. I'd love Sean Dyche just to kind of bring that sort of, not Pulis ball stuff, because I think he plays a little bit better than what Tony Pulis did, but just to kind of bring that a little bit of sort of identity between the clubs. We've lost a bit of connection between the fans, and I think Stoke fans would love him, first of all. I think he's just the type of person to take us over. I saw an interview with him today about saying how you build a culture, and all I ask is that you put 100% effort in. I think that's just what Stoke want, really. Sometimes I've seen recent performances, it just doesn't look like some players are sort of, maybe just a bit of deprived of confidence and not really giving their all for the shirt. And that's just what Stoke is. I feel that's why I'd love someone like Sean Dyche to come in. I don't know if that's realistic. I don't know if he would wait a few months and then get a Premier League job that would inevitably come up. But in terms of realistically, I'm not really too sure. I definitely don't want Joey Barton. That's one guy I don't want to come into our club. But I'm not really too sure. I think Sean Dyche is sort of the one I'm nailed on, really, to try and get.
Now, it'd be crazy not to ask me this. What about the potential of Tony Mowbray taking over the reins at Stoke City? Would you like to see that happen?
I think I would, to be honest. I think it's a little bit different to the Dyche one, because I know he's a little bit similar to your guys, actually, where wasn't it true that he sort of didn't really like it as much and saying, oh, Mowbray needs to go and all of this, he's got no idea. Well, that's very similar to what happened at Stoke. And I feel like if Mowbray took over, it wouldn't be what the fans would want in a way, because it would be more long-term rather than a more sort of like Sean Dyche comes in, gets a squad together, which is this squad, and then takes us up and gets us into the playoffs, and it's amazing. Whereas I feel like Mowbray would kind of almost just calm it down, get his own players in like Michael O'Neill's done. And I feel like that would be maybe a little bit more boring for a fan, but would work well in the long term. But so I'm not sure about Mowbray, but I think he'd be a decent appointment if we couldn't get someone like Sean Dyche.
Now, regardless of whoever you get, of course, whereabouts do you think, or what are your hopes and expectations for Stoke? Do you expect them to be near the top or the drop? Of course, a lot of it will hinder on who you're going to hire. But what's your feeling at the moment?
That just depends on who we get, to be honest. I think, well, there's how many games we played? 5 games. So, there's still 41 games to go. So I don't think the season's a write-off, but it ultimately depends on who we get. My gut feeling was that we were going to get Dyche only because, and I may be overthinking it, because if we'd have sacked O'Neill this early, we must have someone lined up. And it must be a good one if we'd have done it this early. So that's why my immediate thought went, oh, Sean Dyche. But I think in terms of, I don't really know in a way. It just kind of seems like, just depending on whose appointment we get. I said we finished 10th start this season, only because we needed to get out of that sort of finishing 14th, finishing 15th. We needed to have a top half finish, and that was a minimum. And I felt like Michael was on his last chance with that. So I'd still go with 10th, because I don't think that we're in a position to compete yet with the squad, maybe the squad that we have. We lost Joe Allen, which I think, in my opinion, is a big loss. He held midfield, glued it together, and we don't really seem to have someone in there that can really do that as of yet. Gavin Kilkenny's all right, but I don't think he's any Joe Allen by any stretch. Joe Allen played for Wales. He played in the Euro semi-final, played for Liverpool. Not that kind of level, I would say. So I'd say 10th personally, because I don't think we're going to compete yet, but it ultimately depends on who we get.
So Stoke have been a little bit busy this window in the transfer business, of course, bringing in some good guys, especially up top. But do you expect to see any more business maybe coming in or going out for Stoke City this transfer window?
We get a centre-back, personally, but we played 3 at the back with under O'Neill at the start of the season. You could tell it wasn't really working, which is probably one of the main reasons he's lost his job. And if we were still going with 3 at the back, I'd say get a left centre half in, because it just didn't look very balanced. So I'd say get a left centre half in if we're still persisting with this 3 at the back. But we've got injuries as well. That's a massive problem. I don't think he's had a fit squad since November 2020. So I think it's quite hard to judge, because Harry Souters, who's probably, in my opinion, he's the best defender in the Championship, but he's got an injury that's kept him out since November. We've got Tyrese Campbell was injured for a long time during that year. Nick Powell's currently out. He's got legs that are made of chocolate, and that guy. So injured on the first day of pre-season. So he's not really had a strong squad to compete with. So I think if once Suter gets back, he could be almost like our new centre back that's going to strengthen us. But I think I'd still get one in for cover anyway, because if you haven't got him, you've got Aidan Flint, who is a bit unreliable, and you've got Phil Jagielka, who, yes, he does bring experience, but he is 40 years old and sometimes can't keep up with the game as well as he used to. So I'd say bring in another centre half for cover. And then in terms of player departures, I think I'd want to see Morgan Fox go. He's the only left centre half we have at the club, and we don't really want to play him. I think it just kind of says everything about what we think of him in a way. And he's not been good last season. He's just one of those that maybe we just need to ship out, and it's probably best for him and best for the club. So I'd say probably Morgan Fox go. And with FFP, you have to sell a player in order to buy a player. So I feel like if we were to sell him, then it would make room to sign that left centre half that we probably need as well.
All right, you already talked about it. Of course, Suter at the back, monstrous defender, maybe injured right now. But who will be the key player for Stoke City this season, and why?
I think from the start of the season, Liam Delap's got a lot of promise. In his first game, we were all sort of a bit worried, going, oh, well, he's only played 6 games of senior football. Is he going to be ready for the standard? Oh, he's so ready. He was bullying 30-year-old Sunderland centre-backs, and at 19 years old, he's an unbelievable talent. So I'd say him and probably a strike partner, Jacob Brown. They seem to have formed a really nice 2 together. Both are workhorses, which are what Stoke love. Because even though Brown doesn't get 20 goals a season, he's tries so hard, and that's what Stoke fans love to see. So I'd probably say either one of them 2. Brown was player of the year last year, but I think maybe Delap could take the reins this year if he gets the service he needs, and if he gets into the right positions and gets goals. So I'd say probably I'll go Delap.
Perfect. And of course, Grace, you did elaborate on it earlier. You were aiming for 10th, but if you could pinpoint a position in the table, whether it's maybe a number, again, it will hinder on who you hire and how well they respond to of course their transfer window, because they'll have limited time if they are going to come in the next couple of days. But where do you think at the end of the season Stoke will finish?
Probably just getting above that 14th place. We've not done that yet from being down the Championship, which is a crime for a club the size of Stoke City. So I'd say just getting into the top half would be the best worst case scenario while there's still time, and hopefully we can get into that playoff place. Hopefully we can almost do a Forest. I feel like they've sort of set the tone of you get a new manager, then it could spark a bit of change. So hopefully we get the right one, and hopefully we can kick on from here, because we haven't seemed to kick on really since probably West Brom at home last season. Played really well there. Thought, oh my God, we're going to go up this year, and then for some reason we just stopped. So I'd say we've probably not kicked on since then. So get a manager in who can sort of kick us on and set standards, and I think that will be fine.
Switching back, of course, more focus to this weekend's action. Of course, taking on Blackburn Rovers at Ewood Park. Now, again, it's hard to call this with O'Neill no longer at the helm and Dean Holden coming in on caretaker responsibilities. But what do you expect the starting 11 to be this weekend when Stoke visit Ewood Park?
Well, depending on our injury luck, which we don't have a lot of luck with injuries, I'd say probably Bursick in goal. I'd still keep the three at the back, because we don't have a left back or a right back. Connor Taylor, I'd go Aidan Flint. I just think Flint would be better at maybe man marking sort of Brereton Diaz. We know a lot about him in our area. So I'd go left centre back Wilmot. I'd go Sparrow, who's a young kid that's come through our academy. He made a mistake against Huddersfield, but I feel like he needs some more time to sort of correct that and look really good apart from that mistake. So I go Sparrow at right wing back. One, because we don't have a choice, and secondly, because just give him a little bit of minutes. I'd say Baker as Kilkenny, put Fosu, who this lad we've got at Brentford, who's just come on loan to us. He's a little bit versatile, so he can play left wing back and right wing back. Probably looks better on the right than he does on the left, but we don't have anyone on the left yet, so we'll probably have to just fill him in there. Go Will Smallbone as a number 10, and then I go Delap and Brown up front. So probably not our strongest team, but injuries don't allow that to happen. So I'd go for that team personally.
And of course, the final question, we always chuck this one at you, everybody that comes into the hot seat. What do you think the final score will be between Blackburn Rovers and Stoke City this coming weekend?
Got our assistant manager in, so I don't know if it's sort of like a new
assistant manager bounce. Assistant manager bounce.
It probably needs to be a little bit same coach almost, so it's the same thing every day. It's quite hard to call that, because our recent form hasn't been great, but yet we sat the manager, and it may give the players a bit of trying spirit. 1-0 to Stoke like last season.
Appreciate that, Elliott. Of course, make sure you all check out the Bear Pit TV. Of course, your one-stop shop for Stoke City content. I'll chuck a link to in the description down below for his content. So make sure you check that bad boy out. And again, hopefully you have a good old season starting Saturday, and hopefully you get Pep Guardiola, the ginger version, maybe, or whoever you want. Hopefully you get your wildest appointment. But let's wait till after this week. Let's let your shit season end Saturday, right? Well, actually, anyway, regardless of all that, good luck after the weekend. That's what I'm trying to say. Regardless of all that, be sure that everybody, that's all we've got. Make sure you smash your thumbs up, smash your subscribe. Of course, check out the links down below. Of course, don't forget to vote for Blackburn Rovers. Of course, Blackburn Roverseas for best football video or best in video, best content creator, best club content creator. And of course, use the link right there. Of course, it'll get just get us noticed, get us recognised, and all that kind of jazz. But that, my friends, is it. Until then, we'll see you soon. Of course, non-stop coverage between Rovers and Stoke. We've got the preview. We've got this bad boy right here. We're gonna have the watch along. Of course, tomorrow we'll have the fallout as well with post match, and we might even have a vlog as well. So lots still to be done, and still be said about these two teams behind my head right here right now. But anyway, that's all we've got. Until then, we're out.